Have you ever heard about the war between Canada and Denmark? This conflict is better known as the Whisky War, or the Liquor War. However, it cannot be called a war in the traditional sense. Let's find out what happened and why it has such a strange name. The reason for this conflict was this tiny piece of land called Hans Island. It's 1290 meters long and 1199 meters wide. This uninhabited island looks more like a rock, but it created a whole history of the world-famous conflict between Canada and Denmark that lasted almost 50 years. The first question that might come up is, what do these two countries, about 4,000 kilometers apart, have in common with this island? First, let's have a look at Greenland. Greenland is the largest island in the world, mostly covered by glaciers, with the extreme Arctic climate. In 1953, Greenland was redefined as a district of the Kingdom of Denmark, which resulted in the creation of a common border with Canada, and as it turned out, the border passed in the middle of Hans Island. The island is exactly 18 kilometers away from both Canada and Denmark, allowing both countries to claim the land under international law. (1973) is considered to be the year of the beginning of the Whisky War. Canada and Denmark signed a treaty to demarcate the maritime border between Ellesmere Island and Greenland. The treaty deliberately left the border at Hans Island undefined, as both states claimed Hans Island as part of their territory. In 1984, something interesting happened. The Danish minister for Greenland, Tom Høyem, arrived on the island, planted the national flag, and left a bottle of schnapps along with a message something similar to, "Welcome to the Danish island." How do you think Canada reacted? Declared war and sent troops? Well, Canadian soldiers visited the island, removed the Denmark flag, planted a Canadian flag, and left a bottle of Canadian whiskey along with a note. "Welcome to Canada." This practice of leaving bottles of liquor next to the flags continued for several decades, with both countries periodically exchanging the bottles and flags as part of a light-hearted tradition. Canadian whiskey or Danish schnapps became the symbol of a whiskey war over the island. In 2005, the foreign ministers of Canada and Denmark met in New York and announced willingness to resolve the conflict, stating that a war of flags was unacceptable in the modern world. And only in 2022, the turning point was Russia's invasion of Ukraine, thus unleashing the largest war in Europe since World War II. Canada and Denmark signed an agreement to end the conflict,